Hello, loyal Ship and Sip attendees and Shipstation community members. Welcome to After the Sip. Last month's Sip and Ship may be well in the review for us now, but I'm sure we are all anxiously awaiting this month's Ship and Sip. But if you're anything like me, waiting is the absolute worst. So this is why we created this on-demand series, where we will be answering some of the questions we were unable to answer live, introducing you to a Shipstation expert, and having a little bit of fun along the way. Now, this episode's guest may be familiar with you as he was one of our guests during April's Ship and Sip. Please welcome one of our amazing onboarding specialists and this episode's Shipstation expert, Ray Garza. Hi, Ray.
Hello. Howdy.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Likewise.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Shipstation for those who may not know?
Sure. I'm part of the 90-day onboarding team. So once new users decide they want to proceed using ShipStation, I am with them for the first 90 days after they subscribe, just to make sure that they are getting the most out of ShipStation's functionality and are uh, making the most efficient workflow possible.
Awesome. And before you were on this team, how long have you been with ShipStation and what teams were you with before?
I was with general support when I first started in 2018. So yeah, just helping users troubleshoot any errors. There's a lot of variables when you're using ShipStation, using carriers, using different stores, and they all behave differently. So yeah, general support, helping users get through any hiccups that they're encountering.
Yeah, that 2 years, that's a lot of knowledge. So
Fine.
I'm glad you're with us.
Me too.
So because we're all about learning and having fun, I have a special game prepared for you today, Ray. Are you ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. The game is called This or That. And the way that works is I'm going to give you two options and you pick the one you prefer as fast as you can.
All right.
All right, King Kong or Godzilla?
King Kong.
Sweet or salty?
What was the first one?
Sweet or salty?
Oh, sweet.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Pizza or tacos?
Oof, tacos.
Staying in or going out?
Going out.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Now this one's a little bit. This is going to be a rough subject. UT or A&M?
Gotta go with UT.
Awesome. And finally, dogs or cats?
Oh God, it's so hard. Gosh, I love them both, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with dog.
Aww, that friend. Well, awesome. That was this or that. You did amazing. Now that we're all warmed up,
Yeah.
jump right into it. So we're going to start off with some quick questions that we were not able to answer at our last live event. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
So if we are just starting with shipping, what advice do you have for us to get started on the right foot?
So you need to have the essential setup. You need a ship from location. You need stores to give you orders. You need carrier setup. But once all that's in place, just start making labels. Just start shipping. That's the really it's simple, but you just got to start doing it. And the more you do it, the more familiar you become with it, and the more you can start recognizing things that you maybe want to assess, or maybe little areas where you feel like it could be tweaked, and then you can kind of start looking at other capabilities ShipStation offers to help tighten the screws, if you will.
The old trial by fire method.
Yeah, I think so.
What is the best way to analyze your day-to-day to find out how to set automations?
Well, ShipStation offers various reporting you could take advantage of, but the thing with automation is there's so much that can be done with automation rules. It's really hard for me to give a general answer because it's different for everybody. Everyone's workflow is a little bit different. So I would take advantage of our insights reports if you want to get just the numbers, shipping numbers. But the more you start to ship, the more you start to recognize patterns. And when you start seeing those patterns, that's when you can kind of look at automation and see if the automation can take care of those patterns for you without you having to go in there and doing them yourself. So yeah, I think it just takes time and shipping and keeping an eye out.
Getting your hands on things, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Is there an option to print out custom forms automatically, just like a packing slip?
I'm afraid not. Every carrier does customs a little bit differently. For example, USPS, if for international labels, they'll put all the customs details on the label itself. But with other carriers, separate documents are required, which they do get returned to Shipstation, but they do require a manual print function for those documents.
That makes sense. Can ShipStation automation rules be managed via API?
I'm afraid not. With API, you can control orders that are sent to ShipStation, and then data that's pulled out of ShipStation. But automation rules are really can only be controlled inside the ShipStation interface.
Right, makes sense.
Mhm.
Plus, that automation's just pretty click and go. Putting it through API would probably be more pain than it's worth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, from selling channels, store setup, delivery options, is there a way to incorporate priority mail first, or sorry, priority mail flat rates?
So with ShipStation, we just rolled out this feature where we can, for the first time, send live rates to store checkout. Now, this feature is only available for certain selling channels, Shopify, BigCommerce, and I believe Magento. But within those settings, you can dictate if you want ShipStation to send a live rate that is coming from a carrier, or you can set it to be a flat rate if you would rather have your customers pay a flat shipping cost across all, despite the actual cost of shipping. So that is possible, yes, within the in-cart delivery options.
If I create a manual order, will shipping costs be the same as what I'm seeing in the rate browser?
Yeah, so with any order in ShipStation, what we're doing is we're sending the details of that order to the carrier and requesting a rate. So where the order comes from doesn't have any bearing on that. I also should clarify that when you're using the rate browser, just from the icon at the top, and at the beginning of the process, you're really only entering a zip code and a weight, which is very minimal information. But ShipStation can return sort of estimated rates. It's not until you are working with a actual order that has a full address, the rate browser inside an order will return accurate rates from the carrier because we're utilizing the full address. But yeah, it doesn't matter where the order is coming from. You'll get the same rates from the carrier as you would an order that imported from a selling channel.
That's that's true. Definitely, the carriers take into account residential and commercial, which you can't do in rate browser.
Exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
All right, last rapid fire question here.
All
Um,
right.
Speaking of batches, which we weren't speaking of, can the orders be put into a batch be removed from the main awaiting shipment tab once they are put in the batch?
They cannot. So awaiting shipment is a status of an order, and if they're in awaiting shipment, that they'll always be there. Even if when you move orders into a batch, the status of that order is not changing. Now, if you want to take some orders out of awaiting shipment, one workaround is you could put them on hold. That would take them out of awaiting shipment and put them on the on hold tab on the left. But when with batches, you're just isolating certain orders, and awaiting shipment is sort of the master view. So everything that is not shipped will still be there. And I think if we did enable like the orders to be removed, it could get potentially confusing if it's implemented incorrectly. So awaiting shipment's like the safe view. You can go to see everything that is not shipped, and if you'd rather them not be there, you can put them on hold instead.
I know that we have filters. Is there a way from the filters, not the filters, but like the drop downs where you can order the grid? When you're on the grid, you click on the subject, you could sort by no value to value for batches, right?
Yeah. Well, within awaiting shipment, yeah, there's definitely a lot of columns and filters you can take advantage of. But again, it's the status of the order. When you're filtering, the status of the order doesn't change. It just isolates orders that have a certain criteria. So they'll still be in awaiting shipment unless you, of course, ship it or put it on hold or change the status of the order. There's different statuses. You can cancel an order, manually mark it as shipped, but those are the only methods of removing it from awaiting shipment.
The filter thing would only just push those orders down, so they're not the first.
Yeah, they'll show you certain orders.
Okay, thank you for that. I learned something today.
Mhm.
That's actually one of the first things I learned here at ShipStation. If you're not learning something new every day, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn.
All right. Thank you for those insightful answers, Ray. Now that we are all ready to go, let's focus on our main topic here. Since Ray is one of our onboarding specialists, we'd like to try something a little different today. If you remember our last Ship and Zip, you know that Ray met with Christopher Lester of Clifton and Leopold to help him maximize the efficiency of his workflow. Today, we're going to dive a bit deeper as to what was done and talk about the principles that you can apply to your own workflows. So, thinking back to when you met Christopher, what were the pain points you guys set out to tackle?
Well, Christopher was having to, with every order that imported, he was having to manually choose what service he wanted to ship that order with. And so, what we did for him is we took advantage of automation rules so that we built out two rules so that when every order that came in, there would be a service already applied. So the only decision he had to make is if he wanted to create the label or not. So we took out the steps of having to manually choose. I can show you what we did.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, let's get my screen shared here. All right, can see everything all right?
I can see ya.
Great. Okay, so here in Shipstation, this is our waiting shipment view, and to access automation rules, we basically go to the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. There's automation option on the far left here, and then automation rules. Now with the Postal Service, first class mail is applicable for orders that are less than a pound. Anything that's over a pound needs to go priority. So what we did is we created an automation rule that applied, basically we set a criteria where we told Shipstation to look for the order weight, where is it here, total weight, and we set it that if it's less than 16 ounces, which is a pound, then we're going to apply an action, which that action is to set the carrier to first class mail. So this enables Shipstation to assign this carrier to any order that imports that is less than a pound. Oh, I forgot to 16. There we go. For orders that are over a pound, we went priority. So we created a second rule. Set the total weight is greater than or equal to 16 ounces. We add an action to set the carrier to USPS priority mail. And this saved Christopher so much time because he knew that those were the only two methods of shipping he was going to utilize. So when his orders imported, they all had the service and set. So all he had to do is just highlight them all and create and print label, and he was good to go.
Now, I see that for Christopher's purposes here, we went with weight. Are there other ways that we can automate shipping services here? Like, say I'm from like Texas and I'm shipping to, these 3 states. Is there a way for me to set an automation rule? Can you show me?
Yeah. So if you know that orders that are going to a particular state are going a certain method, that is certainly something that can be automated. So when you create an automation rule, at the top of the rule here, you have to set the criteria. The default setting is to apply these actions to every order that is imported, which in this case, we want to apply actions to orders that meet a specific criteria. So we'll select that second option, and in your example, we'll use as a criteria the state, which is an option here. And Shipstation allows you to include a state or if exclude state. So in this case, we want to choose equals, and in the drop down, you'll have all your states that you just check the box next to the states in question. So for the sake of this example, we can do, let's say Arizona and California. And so we know those two, we want to go UPS every single time. So you can check those states, and then this bottom half of the creating a rule is the action you want to apply. And you can apply any number of actions. So I think it just takes a little bit playing with and just looking at what criteria is available, what actions are available. But in this example, we will just, again, set the carrier, service, and package. which I think is something a lot of users like to, I think we ideally want everything to be set when it's imported. So kind of going back to what I said before, the more you start shipping, the more you start recognizing patterns, and that's where you can come in and take a look at automation rules to take care of those patterns. But yeah, that's how you do it.
In theory, this looks like it's an amazing tool. Like, for example, people who are selling um, items that are prohibited to certain states, or somebody who's shipping something that's like a perishable, right?
Yeah. You maybe want to go a specific service that's an expedited service. Absolutely, yeah. So you can get really creative. I've seen users that have dozens and dozens of automation rules, and it just yeah, it can do so much. It can be difficult to have a blanket suggestion for everybody, since everyone's workflow is a little bit different.
So I know it is hard to give like general statements, but if
Mhm.
there's one thing you could warn people about avoiding in the automation rules, like things that maybe people want to be present about so their workflow works.
Yeah, it's a great question. There's two things that I think are important to keep in mind when building automation rules. When you are setting criteria here, um, Shipstation treats all the criteria that you enter in a single rule with the and behavior. So we're looking for an order where the state equals this and the total quantity is equal to another value. So I have users who assume that it's this or this, but it's looking for orders that match all the criteria that you put in.
So
Another thing,
like an and statement.
the and statement, yes. Another thing to keep in mind is when you start building out rules, ShipStation applies your rules from top to bottom. So as the longer your list becomes, where the order imports, we look at the first rule to see if it applies, and we just go down the list. So general suggestion or a note I would say is to keep the more general rules at the top, and then the hyper specific rules at the bottom, because it kind of, I think, is, generally speaking, those rules would apply, and then as it gets more specific, it tags those specific orders or applies to those specific orders. It's just something to be mindful of. They apply top to bottom.
And just to play, disaster advocate here, say somebody did run into something, they realize their automation rules aren't working. What is the first thing that you would tell them to do?
So if you have a rule where you believe an order where a rule should have applied but didn't, or vice versa, you can click the shipment activity inside an order. So what you to access that is you just literally click the order number in awaiting shipment. This will open up what's called the order details window here that we're looking at. And at the bottom, there is a shipment activity tab. This will tell you everything that applied to this order, all the actions that apply to this order, including rules. So here, for this particular order, I'm seeing that the rule default confirmation match and apply. That was an old rule that I don't have anymore. But this is a great way to find out what rules applied, and then you can take a look at the rule in question, to see what the criteria is, and then compare it against the order in question, and that'll help you kind of take the magnifying glass to find out where the issue is.
Right, because as you said, they run top to bottom.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
The
Mhm.
last automation rule that run is the last one that worked, right?
Yeah, I've seen instances where like an order imports and maybe rule 3 is eligible, but rule 1 changed it to where rule 3 is no longer eligible. And so it misses. So that's where you can kind of go look, okay, which rule applied and what did that rule do to make it miss this other rule, for
Now,
example.
when a rule is not applicable, not formatted correctly, and somebody comes across that, or the system comes across that, does it just skip to the next rule, or does it stop running completely?
It skips the next rule. If a rule is broken, it doesn't apply and it just goes down the list.
So that's something that people could be looking out for. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah.
So you went through automation with Christopher. So you automated his carrier assignments, or his carrier.
Settings, yeah.
Yeah. What else in automation did you touch, or did you guys just touch this?
Well, Christopher was his workflow was pretty basic, and so those are the only rules I built out for Christopher. But there's Everyone ships a little differently. Everyone's shipping different things. One thing that outside of automation rules that is just another method of efficiency is presets. I've spoken to many users that have certain box types that they're consistently using. Within Shipstation, you can build a preset that you can just apply in bulk or to an individual order that affects the parameters of those orders, like the weight, the dimensions, or even the carrier. So to access that, can I show you? Sorry, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. uh, so when you open up an order, kind of what we're looking at here, on the right side, we have this configure shipment section. Right next to the words configure shipment is apply preset, where you can click that and manage your presets. And I'm gonna go ahead and build a new preset. So here, you first want to give your preset a name, new preset. And you can add shipping options. So the presets are capable of adjusting your ship from location if you're shipping from multiple warehouses, shipping service, the package type, if you want to add insurance, the weight, and the size. So in most cases, like with certain package types, you certainly want to put in the size. So we'll just say like maybe it's a 5 by 5 by 5 box. So yeah, you can add any or all of these parameters and save the preset, which I just gave it a new preset name. And just for the sake of just an example, let's just say these first few orders I know I want to apply that preset to. You can enable the sidebar, just this little checkbox on the right side, and we have an apply preset tab right here where you just, from the drop-down menu, select your preset and hit apply. Boom.
Oh, that's
And
amazing. So it just updates the package sizing, right? It's not going to affect the automations we set up earlier.
correct. Automation rules apply upon import. So whatever actions you take after the orders are imported, they're gonna, will be the most recent action. So you can undo what automation rules have done. It's certainly possible, but yeah, it's just kind of automations kind of get orders to the closest to the finish line. You can still make changes to those orders after they've imported.
Now, the presets, just for anyone who doesn't know, they do, are you allowed to pick a service type as well? Like,
Absolutely, yeah. You can do service, weight, dimensions. There's a lot you can do. Yeah.
but just so everybody knows, if you change the service with the preset and apply, that will overrule the automation, correct? Because the
Yeah.
automation.
Yeah. Again, automation rules apply upon import. Whatever you do after, automation rules don't affect.
Um, Now, I did notice that there was another thing that you guys talked about, which was printing labels. What solution did you implement for that?
Yeah. So when ShipStation offers this program called ShipStation Connect, it allows ShipStation to talk directly to your printers, which most users I speak to when they use ShipStation Connect configure it so whenever they hit create and print label, it immediately prints. Without ShipStation Connect, if you hit create and print label, you're taken to a print preview window where you have to choose the printer and then send it to the printer. So it's a couple extra steps. With ShipStation Connect, it takes those steps out. You can access and download ShipStation Connect by clicking the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. And we have a printing option on the far left and a ShipStation Connect tab where you'll see a little blue button to download and install. It's pretty simple. You just download it. When you launch it, it asks you to log in, and now ShipStation can see your printers. And then you can change your printing settings in the printing setup option on the left.
And we'll definitely have resources in the post below. So you can check those out if you want to learn a little bit more about Connect. I did have a question from somebody from last time that I wanted to save for now. Can you show us how to set up your labels to automatically print without the prompts?
Yeah, so that would you would first need to install ShipStation Connect and have that running. And once that's done, you'll click your printing setup where I'm at right now, and you'll have this table. The first row of the table is label, and the second column is print to, which the default settings will be always prompt, which is exactly what it sounds like. Whenever you print, it's always going to prompt you. You can change it by clicking always prompt, and the first option is print via ShipStation Connect. You would select that, and you would on this screen you would typically see the list of printers that are connected to your computer. I at this moment don't have any printers, so we're not seeing anything. But you would just choose the printer, and that's it. Next time you go to print a label, instead of prompting you, it'll send it to Shipstation Connect, which will go right to your printer.
Now, if somebody has changed their settings and then Connect is disconnected, will it go back to always prompt for them?
Yes, if you go to trigger a print and ShipStation Connect is not running, it'll default back to always prompting.
Okay. So all they'd have to do is go and fix that once they turn Connect back on.
Yes, you need to just relaunch Connect. I also like to clarify that once you install ShipStation Connect, you shouldn't have to install it again. That can cause problems. So if you're a Mac user, to make sure it's running, you can click the magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner and just search for ShipStation Connect. If you're a Windows user, click the Start button on the bottom left and just search for ShipStation Connect and relaunch the program.
And if you're running into errors, what would you suggest? Like if somebody does come into this and they're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. I see this error. What?
It's I think at that point it's good to reach out to our support team. With printing errors specifically, there's two variables going on. There's of course ShipStation, and then there's the computer print settings. So I've seen a lot of instances where the computer's print settings weren't toggled in the right way. But our support team can do screen shares with users, and we can actually get into their computer and take a look on what's going on beyond ShipStation.
That makes a lot of sense, especially since Macs are a little bit different to connect the ShipStation
Definitely.
Connect. For those of you who don't know, the way that you configure Connect for Mac is that you actually have to open cups. Right? If you want to expand on that.
I still to this day have to reference our knowledge article on how to, how to get to that, because with Apple they make it very easy to use, but when you need to get under the hood, it's a little bit more complicated than I think most are used to. But yeah, we have a great knowledge article. Maybe we can make that available at the bottom too on how to troubleshoot with cups. Because
Yeah.
I use that article all the time.
The first time I used cups, I was like, "Is this what am I reading? I don't understand."
Yeah, it can be a little dense for sure. Yeah.
Right. Right. So with Christopher, just to go over, we tackled automation rules. We set up his Connect. Was there anything else that we kind of talked to him about, or was this kind of the meat of what he needed?
Those were the two things that I could tell he was just over the moon about. I think the efficient printing and the services already being selected when orders import, just it took like a dozen clicks down to 2 clicks. So yeah, those are the two big things. And I I imagine, as he continues to ship, he'll start recognizing other patterns, and yeah, that's how you grow. Is just keeping an eye out, taking advantage of those automation rules, and yeah.
So aside from automation rules, what would you say is the most underutilized feature in ShipStation?
Gosh, branding. I think the branded options that ShipStation offers to help really sell or emphasize the experience of your product to your customers in the shipping process. Within ShipStation, in your store settings, so clicking the gear icon in the upper right hand corner and selling channels in the upper left, there's a store setup option. Within each store, you can click the three dots next to the store you want to configure, and we can edit our store details. There's a branding tab. Here's where you can upload a logo. I got Batman on this store. uh, um, and you can put in your social media links,
Mhm.
and all this data will be included on notification emails, which is something you can also take advantage of in ShipStation. You sort of need to decide if you want your store to email your customers when an order is shipped, or do you want ShipStation to. With ShipStation, we offer all this branding that uh, helps sell the feel of your brand. Logo, social media links. We even offer a branded tracking page, so you can have a customized tracking page that your customers can access via that email to send them to. Instead of just the default carrier page, you can have your own branded carrier page, which I think is really great. And I know Christopher, he was all about the experience And that is something that I think he was utilizing as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're almost out of time, but I have one final question for you. What
sure.
piece of advice or wisdom would you give to anyone who's new to ShipStation or anyone who maybe is just kind of feeling in a rut? What advice would you give?
Kind of like what I said before. You just gotta do it. Gotta just start shipping, and I think it just takes experience. You can do as much. We have great knowledge articles. We have great webinars page if you want to get kind of a head start. But I think it's just kind of rolling up the sleeves and getting in there and doing it, and that's because it's different for everybody. So you got to just know what works for you, what's not working, and I think the only way to do that is by doing it.
Right. I think that's really good advice. And another
Be
thing,
afraid, get in there.
webinar. That's a great idea. We have ShipStation University events every
Yeah.
month online. All you have to do is click and join, and we go over roadmap stuff and we go over tricks and tips and things like that. So you're right. That's a great resource for everybody to be
Yeah.
using.
Hmm.
All right. You have been such an amazing guest today, Ray. Before we go, I just want to thank you again. It has been a pleasure getting to talk to you as always. And I also wanted to thank you at home joining us on demand. We want to keep this conversation going, so please don't be shy about commenting. Tell us what you learned or tell us what you want to focus on next because we want to hear from you. So thank you again for joining. And until next time, this has been After the Sip. Now go out there and get shipping.